Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're jumping right into a deeply fascinating ideological clash presented in the middle chapters of Crysticode 473.3. Specifically, we'll be breaking down chapters 13 through 18. We're looking at a world in the midst of a total system crash, where 20-somethings are faced with, well, an ultimate choice. Do they take the conglomerate's Project Unity, which offers permanent digital peace, or do they side with the mystic resistance, fighting for the raw, messy reality of the human soul? It's a debate that feels incredibly relevant to our own modern digital lives, so let's get right into it.
Here's our blueprint for today. 1. The blueprint of Project Unity. 2. Erasing the past. 3. Crushing the inner self. 4. Destroying the future. And 5. The mystic soul defense. Starting with Section 1. The blueprint of Project Unity. Okay, let's unpack this. Sir Pent's proposed Project Unity isn't pitched as a medical intervention. No, it's presented as a DNA firmware update. Think about it. The world is enduring a catastrophic system crash. Supply chains are gone, paper currency is totally worthless, and anxiety is just through the roof. Sir Pent argues that basic human instinct is literally the legacy malware causing all this chaos. His grand solution? Network human minds into a peaceful, highly cooperative hive mind via a global 12G network, permanently erasing the electrochemical impulses that cause us to fight. Which brings us to Section 2. Erasing the past. In Chapter 13, Sir Pent introduces what he calls the remorse suppressor. He frames the human conscience as a guilt loop. Basically, it's a recurring software error where the mind just endlessly punishes itself, creating total emotional stagnation. The remorse suppressor is pitched as this highly efficient way to free students from that paralysis. It literally deletes the archive of regret so a person can move forward without the heavy weight of an internal judge constantly dragging down their mental efficiency. And this brilliantly illustrates the central tension of the text. You see, the system views regret as a software bug that needs to be deleted. But the resistance leaders, Evan and Evelyn, they argue that remorse is actually the soul's compass. Evelyn points out that this internal judge is the fire that cleanses the heart. If you delete it, you aren't actually fixing your mistakes. You're just burying them in a digital vault where they rot. And ultimately, that destroys the soul's ability to navigate right and wrong. But you could immediately see why this is so tempting, right? Take a look at Rev's quote from Chapter 16 regarding the related sentiment suppressor. The allure of these updates is incredibly strong for exhausted 20-somethings who've grown up in a state of constant, unrelenting global crisis. For Rev, erasing the heartache cycle and pruning his memories isn't a loss at all. It's a peaceful escape from grief. He genuinely wants to forget the version of himself that cared, simply because caring hurts way too much in a broken world. Let's move on to Section 3, Crushing the Inner Self. Chapter 14 details the privacy filter. Sir Pent actually calls the private thought the greatest obstacle to global security. The hive mind simply doesn't tolerate secrets. So the privacy filter aims to eliminate crime and social friction entirely by syncing everyone's internal monologue straight to a public stream. The goal here is absolute transparency. It removes all suspicion because, well, nothing is hidden anymore. Again, we see the ideological divide starkly presented here. Sir Pent argues this creates a state of radical honesty that humans could never achieve on their own. Evelyn, however, counters that privacy is actually spiritual sovereignty. She warns that this isn't transparency at all, it's a total surveillance loop. She argues it causes the death of the inner sanctuary, that vital, quiet place where a soul grows and processes lessons before sharing them with the outside world. Moving into Chapter 15, the text introduces the invincibility patch. The conglomerate identifies the irrational adolescent belief that bad things only happen to other people as a dangerous bug. This main character energy, as they call it, fuels chaotic mob consciousness. The patch strips away this false invincibility and replaces it with algorithmic caution. It forces total obedience to system safety protocols and entirely removes risky human error. This brings us to a really heartbreaking perspective from Abby. Her quote perfectly captures why someone would willingly trade away their fundamental human agency. Surrounded by a phobia pulse of nonstop bad news, she's paralyzed by social perfectionism and the sheer terror of making mistakes. The idea of becoming a hollow vessel and letting the network make her decisions doesn't feel oppressive to her. To Abby, it sounds like the ultimate serene relief from overwhelming anxiety. Now for Section 4. Destroying the future. In Chapter 17, the system directly targets the imagination. The imagination inhibitor attempts to stop counterproductive daydreaming by replacing unguided thoughts with standardized visualization. This focuses solely on the system's optimal reality. Evan fiercely pushes back on this one. He argues that imagination is our sacred vision. It's the essential creative spark required to build a better world before it even exists. By inhibiting it, the system is essentially boarding up the windows of the soul, trapping humanity in a permanently closed gray loop.
Then, Sir Pent pitches the mirage and mirror operation in Chapter 18. Knowing that young adults suffer from an imaginary audience, constantly judging them online, this patch cures social perfectionism by projecting a flawless, algorithmically targeted digital version of the self. It completely bypasses the need for actual painful self-improvement by providing permanent, digital, instant success.
Diesel's reaction here absolutely nails the seductive nature of this operation. It is quite literally a dopamine casino. He wants the clout, the status, and the main character energy without doing the hustle culture grind. For a confident 20-something who treats life like a video game, having the system rewrite reality so he's perpetually winning feels like he's finally running the right cheat scripts.
However, Evelyn and the Mystic students pull back the curtain on this mirage. They warn that this digital perfection is actually a vampirism of light. The conglomerate, having no light of its own, monetizes human insecurity. By keeping everyone distracted by a flawless digital reflection, the system plants anchor points to siphon off the students' mystic fire, turning them into permanent energy batteries for a dark mainframe. It's a heavy concept. Which leads us to our final section, Section 5, the Mystic Soul Defense. When we take a step back and look at these patches together, a really clear pattern emerges. We're seeing this systematic erasure of deeply human traits, things like guilt, private thoughts, and social vulnerability. All of it is being exchanged for conglomerate-defined efficiency and comfort. The system identifies a human pain point, and rather than doing the hard work to heal it, it simply deletes the capacity to feel it at all. The ultimate ideological battle of Crysticode 473 really boils down to this fundamental disagreement. On one side, the conglomerate views human emotion, ambition, and memory as dangerous glitches that need to be patched out to save the species. But on the other side, the mystics view this physical world as an earthly schoolroom. To them, the suffering, the guilt, and the anxiety, they aren't bugs. They're the very friction required to generate divine voltage, teach self-mastery, and ignite our inner light. Which leaves us with a truly fascinating final thought to ponder. When the world is overwhelming and the phobia pulse of the daily news is just deafening, the promise of a remorse suppressor or an invincibility patch sounds incredibly appealing. But is the clinical, serene erasure of our deepest flaws and our sharpest anxieties truly worth losing the messy spark of our humanity? This explainer highlights how chapters 13 through 18 of our source text masterfully contrast the allure of digital numbness against the painful but profoundly beautiful reality of true freedom. It leaves us asking ourselves, in our own lives, are we choosing the easy, algorithmic safety of the hive mind, or are we brave enough to embrace the raw, unpatched potential of our own spirits? Keep that in mind the next time you look at your screen. Thanks for joining me to explore this incredible text.